Today is the day. The last Star Wars movie, finally. Yes, I'm a major dork. No, I'm not going to bring my lightsaber. I am wearing my new Star Wars short and extra nerdiness. Let's go check this out. Look at all these nerds. Woo. Wow, what a movie. Just gonna quickly give my review on it. I'm gonna give a spoiler-free review of this. We'll try to avoid as many spoilers as I can. It's definitely very difficult to do because, I mean, it's the last movie, and to kind of go into the things that happen in the movie that are amazing, some things that are not so amazing, might give some spoilers. Let me just say that, finally, after 42 years of this franchise being, such an entertaining thing for so many people around the world, this is the last movie. Well, as far as the Skywalker saga goes, there's going to be other stuff. There's going to be TV shows. There's going to be other side movies. There's going to be books. Star Wars is not ending. But as a closing of the Skywalker saga, let me just say, with all honesty, this was an excellent closing of the movie, of the franchise, I should say. Now, in terms of the movie itself, going into it, a lot of people were probably going to be pretty polarized in terms of, the last movie kind of set a lot of people off. Super, super divided the fandom. Me, I'm not like that. I like the last movie. I like The Last Jedi. I'm liking the direction that they're going. I see some criticisms. I see the concerns. And I can see how people going to this one might have a little bit of trepidation and not wanting to be disappointed again. That's understandable. They're entitled to that. Nothing wrong with that. I will say, though, for me, this movie was excellent. Let me give a few caveats real quick of what I wasn't too crazy about in the movie. Of course, without giving spoilers. Right when the movie starts, the first 10, 15 minutes or so, the pacing was like bam, 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 super quick pacing. They're bouncing around between locations and doing things super quick, and it's a little jarring. I wish they would have taken a little more time, but of course the movie would have been longer had they had done that. So I felt like they were trying to shoehorn in these events right away to kind of get the story started. Could they have handled it a different way? Probably. But they went this way. They were kind of all right, we're going to do this. And that's what they did. And again, it's very jarring. Most Star Wars movies don't start off quite this jarring. Unless I think the only exception was Episode 3. They started with the war over Coruscant. That's probably the closest thing I could say to a jarring opening for Star Wars. But after that, the pacing does slow down. I will say, though, that movies in general today, the pacing is quicker than I'm used to, but I'm getting used to it, of course. I know the first time I really noticed it was with Star Wars Episode 7, Force Awakens. I'm like, the pacing on this is really quick, because, of course, in my mind, I'm comparing it to the other Star Wars movies, and the pacing is a lot different. And I think it's just a natural thing for today for movies. Anyways, I digress. As for, of course, getting to the movie proper, the cast, of course, is excellent. you know from the trailers that most of the cast are together for this. A lot of other Star Wars movies, they kind of split people apart to go like, oh, you go to this, you go to that. This one, most of them stayed together for the majority of the movie, which I like. The characters do play off well against each other. Because like in the past movies, the last two movies, since a lot of good characters were apart, you didn't get to see that much character interaction. Like in the last movie, you saw Rey mostly interacting with Luke, and that's it for like the whole movie. You saw Finn interacting with a new character, Rose. You saw Poe, being conflicted against, his superior officers, and that's it. But you don't see these main cast together interacting. This one you do, which was good, and like they do play off each other well, and which I like. That was interesting. It's the first time you really saw this of this new cast, and the typical Star Wars humor is still there. They joke with each other. They have quips. There's like side gags and stuff. The main cast, of course, you see Rey, Finn, Poe, Chewie, C-3PO, and BB-8 is there. You introduce a new droid later on in the series, which is interesting. And it's like a little robotic droid that has a voice. Usually, little like small robot droids, like wheeled droids, they like beep and stuff like R2 and BB does. But this one actually has a voice, but it's a very cute voice, and it's like there's only like one or two words here and there. I kind of like that. It's kind of funny. Most of the kids today probably be like, "Oh yeah, I want that droid," and I forget what the droid's name was. Sure. Of course, you have your older cast there. Emotionally speaking, from the heart, I love what they did with Carrie Fisher. Leia. I knew that they had footage of Leia from the past movies that were cut, and they were going to use it for this movie because, of course, unfortunately, Leia, Carrie Fisher, she passed away. So they didn't have she couldn't have filmed for this movie, but what they used was like natural. You wouldn't have known any different. It was like she did film for this movie. Very well done, and they said that they weren't going to do any CG with her. They lied. There was one part where there's a CG Leia. They had to, but that's you'll see when you see it. I'm not going to give it away, but it was still very well done. You do see some other older returning characters. In fact, there was one part I thought I saw Wedge. I don't know if I was right. It was super quick, but if Wedge was there, that was awesome. Of course, he's all in the trailer. Lando's there, so Lando plays a good part in it. Small part, but I liked it. Did very well there. And of course, as for the antagonist, Kylo, he's like the main. He's still the main baddie who's pursuing our heroes throughout most of the movie. You do see his Knights of Ren finally, which are pretty cool. And also a lot of the First Order officers, they do give a couple of them some interesting character traits, and some that have their own agenda. So that's interesting. In a few movies, it did seem like they were just kind of like almost robotic in their devotion to the First Order, and they were kind of just following orders. And so they didn't really give too much character. But this one, they have some more character. As for the story of it, I mean, of course, it's the resistance against the First Order, and it's a final battle to try to overcome the First Order, and for the Alliance to kind of rule out the day and peace to return to the galaxy. But the bulk of the story in this, it's almost like a quest. The main characters have to go on a quest to find something, to find where they're going. And in that kind of regard, it was kind of odd that they went like that. and I wrote down that it's almost like Indiana Jones like, where they have to find something in order to find something. It's a MacGuffin, of course. Movies, they have a MacGuffin, they have something to um, drive the plot. Something that the characters have to all search for and find. But this one, it's a little bit. It was too many steps that Star Wars movies usually don't have. Which some could say like, oh, that doesn't make it Star Wars. Well, it makes it a different Star Wars. There's plenty of Star Wars stories that can benefit from a quest. There's a lot of lore in Star Wars, and this movie is basically very lore heavy. And so the quest at least gave the story a chance to see different locations, meet new characters, meet new races and stuff. Although I do wish some of the environments were a little more diverse. You had like your jungle planet, not like jungle like in like a swamp, like a Yoda planet, but like a lot of forests and trees and stuff. You have your desert planet. You have I wouldn't really call it a ice or snow planet, but it was there was a setting where it was like at nighttime, but it was snowing, so it looked cold. So there was that type of setting. There wasn't no like super unique locations, with the exception of the very last location. Well, I guess you can kind of count the very first opening location as a kind of unique one. But yeah, the locations could have benefited from being a little bit different, but it didn't really detract too much from the story. It made it feel like Star Wars because it's locations that you are familiar with seeing in Star Wars locations. Of course, special effects were outstanding. There were a lot of practical effects in this, and also a lot of the CG was amazing. Like towards the end, you could tell most of that was CG, and it was fantastic. There was one visually stunning scene that I had my mouth open, going, "Wow, that looks beautiful." It looked incredible and kind of bad for the good guys, but I'm not going to say why. But some of the other decisions in the movie, in terms of, again, this is spoiler territory, I don't want to say it, but it definitely was a surprise for me. I didn't expect a lot of the things that happened in the movie. The movie might have subverted my expectation. Oh no! But when I was going into it, I thought things would happen in one way or the other, but the way it happened was different than I would have imagined. It didn't take me out of the movie or didn't ruin things for me, and it was just, oh, okay, it went that way. That's interesting. Now, in terms of like, character interaction and stuff, there are some new characters, that are introduced. Now they're not like super important. They don't become like brand new heroes and stuff. They do help out the main cast. Because there is one character that does help fill out a main character's backstory a bit. So that is interesting. That gave us some interesting points in the movie. I wrote down that it made it seem that with this character, given a backstory to one of our known characters, it leaves the door open for like a side story book or something, a novel to come out to fill in that backstory for his character. So I thought that was pretty cool. It makes me interested to see if they're going to do that. The main like conflict between the good guys and bad guys, of course, it was kind of like a cat and mouse game. The main characters are on a quest, and Kylo Ren and his knights are kind of chasing after them, nipping at their heels a lot, and um, I like the way they kind of made the Knights of Ren not really like all these super powerful badasses. They were just more like, um, I would almost put them in the classification that they're almost like bounty hunters, even though they're like Kylo's not guards, but they're like specialists for him. That's a good word for him. They're like his specialists. He sends to go like hunt them down and stuff, and they do play a pretty good role towards the end as well, because like they don't really have too many parts. They don't really like fight too much, except for at the end there was they have a good fight scene that's very, very important. I think I mentioned for the older cast, there was some surprises in that, but I love what they did with the older cast. It's great homage, great nostalgia there, and there was some good nods to some of the older movies, and I'm getting a little emotional here just thinking about what they did, and the movie did make me tear up a little bit a few times, because for me, I'm one of the biggest Star Wars fans that I know. Of all my friends, I'm the biggest Star Wars fan, without a doubt, and to me, it's important. It's something that I hold precious. I love Star Wars. I'm a big nerd that way, I guess. All in all, I like the way they wrapped everything up. They couldn't really have gone in too many different directions than what they did. It was a good wrap up in a way that I didn't expect. I didn't expect some things to happen in a way they did. You know what the ending is going to be. You know kind of the destination, but the journey getting there is fantastic. It's a wonderful ride. Like I said, great cast of characters, great interactions between each other, wonderful environments. Great, realize that Star Wars is they're still retaining that lived-in, world of technology that looks used technology, and then so that's really, it gives it that familiar look of Star Wars, and all in all, it's a really great movie with a few. I mean, like I said, there was a couple of parts at the beginning that kind of threw me off. I'm not going to mark too much down from that. If I was going to give this movie a score, it would be up there. I'm not going to give it a score, but it would be pretty high up there. I'm not going to say right now whether it's going to be among my top Star Wars movies. I gave a list yesterday of my, ranked of my Star Wars movie. I'm not going to say yet where I'm going to rank it. I know it's going to be high up there. Above what? I don't know yet. I don't even know where I'm going to rank this movie yet. I want to see it, at least one more time. Probably going to see it more than once. It is that good. Will it set aside the fears of some of the fanboys that were afraid that, Disney's ruining my Star Wars? I don't know. For them, everybody's different. And everybody has their own opinions of what makes Star Wars Star Wars. I'm gonna let that be what it is. Again, for me, the last movie didn't bother me. I can see where people can have their arguments. At least in this one of their arguments for the last one was like, oh, it's too SJW, too much SJW agenda. This one didn't have it. This one didn't have an SJW agenda, not at least what I can see. So that can be put out of people's minds. Now, as for the other aspects of the movie, like some of the actual specific decisions of what they did with certain characters and how they resolved certain things, some people might disagree with. In fact, I didn't watch anybody review yet, any YouTube reviewers. I didn't read any reviews, so I don't know what other people's opinions are. With the exception of, I've heard inklings. I saw headlines of this movie might divide some people, or there's a couple of things in this that some fans might disagree with. So I don't know. I don't really see it. I can see maybe a few things, especially with, again, not spoiling anything, but the main conflict. Some people might disagree with the direction they went, and I can almost see how they did it. But I like the direction they went, and I think most people would like the way they went with this. All in all, it's really like the only logical way they could have really went with this type of story, and not only wrapping up a saga of 9 movies, 11 if you count the side stories. Something that started all the way from a young Anakin Skywalker to, the very end, and encompass all the movies with, the main villain tying everything together. He's the main antagonist for everything, and he's technically been there since the very beginning, and you don't need to know anything more than that, other than it was a good way to wrap everything up, knowing that who the main villain is and what they have to do to overcome. They did a great job with this movie. I applaud J.J. Abrams for his wonderful direction, wonderful set pieces, great, cinematography is great. Soundtrack is amazing. All these like audible cues of the music to past movies. You hear, some parts where they have some of the newer music, because in all of Star Wars there's always character themes, and a lot of times they mix. In this new one, they mix some of the newer themes for new characters with some of the older themes for the other characters, which music. I've always say that I'm not a very big fan of music, with the exception when it comes to like movies and stuff and film, that the music can really make a movie. It can really hit you emotionally in certain parts, because when the music hits, your emotions come back to scenes and characters and interactions and stuff. So that it really did hit pretty good, and John Williams just once again knocked it out of the park with this score of the movie. Very well done. Again, J.J. Abrams did a very good job with this. I'm glad he took the helm. Now that Rian Johnson was super bad, a lot of people blamed him for a lot of shit, for the last movie. But like I said, I like that one, so I'm not going to give him too much shit. But of course, I have to say thank you to George Lucas, who gave us this wonderful universe to enjoy. 42 years ago, nobody knew what Star Wars was, and all of a sudden this movie from some little-known director who made, American Graffiti and THX, so one was a pretty typical movie, one was a weird out there movie, and all of a sudden Star Wars comes out. Nobody knew what to expect, and it became a cultural phenomenon the world over. No doubt about that. There's no doubt that it's a phenomenon for sure. And as much of shit that we give George Lucas for what he's done with, making the older movies special versions, and what he did with the prequels and some of the other decisions, he still gave us this world. He gave us this universe to explore and enjoy, and to make our own, and to enjoy it in the ways that we want to enjoy it. It's such a huge universe that there are parts of it that some people like, some parts that other people like, and we have that freedom to enjoy that. And George Lucas gave us that freedom to like it in the way we want to like it. And you have to give it to a creator like that. I certainly do. It's one of my favorite franchises, favorite storyline, favorite lore of anything. I like it more than almost any storyline in fiction. Um, yeah, hands down. It's I like it better than like Lord of the Rings. I like it better than Forgotten Realms. I like it better than pretty much everything. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. Um, so I thank George Lucas for giving us that. And it's been a wonderful 42 years of these movies. Nobody knew that there was going to be this many movies back then. And nobody knew that this universe would be this gift to pop culture, this gift to, this culture in general. So, again, thank you for that. I'm going to wrap up this review. Again, I wanted to be a short review, but obviously it's not going to be a very short review. Sorry about that. Thank you all for watching. Let me know what you all thought. If you've seen the movie, please don't give any spoilers. Let me know what your thoughts and feelings are down below. If you do give spoilers, please give a warning and give some space. But I hope all you all enjoyed the movie. I hope you enjoyed my review. Thank you all for watching. Have a good night. And the Force will be with you always.